Yeah, I know just now.
I used to do one.
You said it wasn't bad. So.
Right.
That's it. It was like the most fun ever. He knows that.
Please write your volunteer and write your names, whoever wants to go today. Okay. Leo, Alexa, Hector, and Drew is here. Anthony?
Here.
Yeah. Mari is not going to be here. Sandhya? Yes. Catherine? Nolan?
Here.
Yeah. Malia? Malia? Oh, there you go. Trevor?
Here.
Yeah. Wes? Yeah. Pascal? Yeah. Cooper? Alex is here. Tommy? Riley? Here. Riley. Melanie? Dylan? Yes. Ivan? Yes. Okay. Ed's not here. Drake? Drake is here. Galaxy? Jeremiah? Here. So we are missing, who are we missing today? Catherine, Mari, and you. I have kids in the back of the class. So you should be, but I don't see any yet. So I'm going to call them after and find out what happened. Okay. Yeah, the paperwork's done. Okay. Elle is done with her speech. Sandhya, Nolan's done with his speech. Where's Melanie? Where are you, Melanie? You're not done with this speech, right? Okay. Alondra. Mari is not here today. Roberto. Roberto is not going to be here today. So. Alexis, you here? Cooper is here. Drake is here. Anthony is done with his speech. Galaxy here. Tommy's done with his. Alec not done yet. Drew. Trevor. Alexa done. Leo done. Jeremiah. Ivan, are you here? Hector. Pascal. Alias. Catherine. Kate. Catherine not here. Okay. Dave's not here. Dave. Richard. Okay. So those of you who are done with this speech, okay, they get to choose to. Oh, that's great. They get to get relaxed.
Let's see.
Oh no, that's terrible.
You took two.
I took one. It's just
Oh, one.
All right, I've got some bad news.
Ivan is our first speaker, okay. Next, who was okay, one, okay. Drew is our second speaker. Oh, you have. Trevor is our third speaker.
Either way, it happened already.
Wes.
Wes is our fourth speaker. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. All right, I guess. 6. Super. Super. All right. Super. Nada.
I get 2? All right. Well, I think not this time.
But this time I do.
Dylan.
Oh my goodness.
All right, we have, I think, yeah. Okay, let's see.
I don't feel unprepared, but.
So if you need notepads, you can grab it from there.
I even had 2. I picked 2 and I put 1 back.
Okay, Melanie last. Melanie last. What?
I think we are fine with you. Did anybody want to go? You want to go?
She wanted to go 8.
Drake wants to go.
No, she said she wanted to go 8.
All right.
You said to do.
Okay. All right, same thing. I'm going to be there. It's actually started recording you. But if you want to record yourself, I'll tell you how it. Those of you, I sent all of you a recording of the first day, so you should have seen. I mean, it's pretty good. It takes a nice long range. However, if you want like a close up and you want a particular angle, you can ask one of your classmates to record you. Yeah, so I'll be at the back. Same things. I'm going to show you time. And real quick, for those of you who are not here, quick. So when the first time that you finish 2 minutes, yoo-hoo, which means you've done quite a bit. You're almost covered up quite a lot. All right, so 2 minutes, then 1 minute, which is that means you need to now think about your conclusion. 30 seconds. If you haven't, start wrapping it up, and then stop. 5 minutes. But I'll still show you that if you haven't, because I can understand where you are. I say 30 seconds. Take your time. Get another 100 words in, and then. All right. Okay. Having said that, let me close the door now. We are all ready. If you all need note cards, I have some note cards, extra note cards. Glasses. All of you as well on Canvas, same thing. You can go to Canvas and see discussions. I've already posted it for you. Again, one single submission for all the speakers. Instead of turning in one submission for Ivan, another one for Drew, just one submission, single submission. Once you're done putting your comments for everyone, one time hit reply and send it to me. It should be graded. The last ones are all graded, so all the grades are up to date, and these should be graded as soon as possible today, right after your classes. Okay.
She graded.
All right, our first speaker is Ivan.
In the middle.
I'm sorry.
In the middle.
You're good actually. You can walk around. That's your microphone, by the way, right above your head. So you can walk around. So that's a good range. However you're comfortable.
All right, cool.
Okay, go.
So in a lot of stories, the hero pushes through and tries their hardest and succeeds. Unfortunately, not in my story. So growing up, I've always had a love for movies and literature and theater. I would watch movies such as Rocky 3, Fight Club, all those movies. And I would recite lines all over the house. I would drive my brothers insane. Every week, a new movie would pop up. When I first watched Rocky 3, all I would say around the house is, "There is no tomorrow." And my brothers would constantly complain and complain and complain. Although I did love movies, I also was a big procrastinator. Always doing everything until the 11th hour, and always did everything last minute. I would constantly tell myself, I can do it later. Or I would tell myself, another day can wait. You know, no big deal. So as the years went on, the cycle would repeat itself. So during 5th grade, I got lucky enough to play the role for the main lead for Hamlet. Although I was super excited and I was constantly telling myself, you got this, you got this, you got this. Nothing wrong can go bad. I was also super cocky in my skills. I would recite lines, go to rehearsal for like the first 3 weeks. I wouldn't give too much about it. I wouldn't stress. But halfway through the play, I was like, okay, I got this. My usual routine would start. I would say, oh, I'm too lazy to recite right now. I'll just wait another day. So the days go on, weeks go on. I'm like, okay, I got this. The day arrives, and now I'm stressing. And I fall into my usual deep hole. All I can think about is, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And so I go into my backpack and reach for the script. And all of a sudden, I just fall into like a deep hole. And I can't think of anything else. And all I try to do is recite the lines over and over and over again until I'm half asleep in class. The play comes up and the play begins. The curtains open and the lights hit me as I'm walking on the stage. The first half passes by and everything is fine. Everything falls completely into place and nothing goes wrong for the first half. The second act begins, and all of a sudden, I stand on the stage, frozen and shook. Words can't come out of my mouth, and I'm just frozen in fear. In my head, all I can think about is my lack of preparation and my poor decisions I made leading to this big day. In a lot of stories, the hero works hard, they push through, they give it their all. Unfortunately for me, that wasn't the case. I made a poor decision. And the next time you think about procrastinating, just think about a potential embarrassing moment that you could save yourself from. And that's all I have to say.
you.
And we have our next speaker.
Everyone has experiences and moments in their life that define who they're going to be for the rest of their life, even if they don't know it. This is one of my experiences. I've been an introvert for as long as I can know, and this story is the reason why. It's one of the first memories I can remember vividly. I was 6 years old, and my parents decided one summer day to go to a place called the Children's Museum. I was more excited than I could ever be, because back then you're not really a developed person yet. So we're all excited. Me and my older sister and my younger sister get in, and we're so excited to see all the exhibits, but turns out they're really pretty lame. Kids are into some pretty menial stuff. The one I remember the most is a fake shopping center with fake items and fake carts and a fake checkout. Kids can just do that anyways. So after the shopping center we go, there's some paintings, we get farther in. And we get to a small section with some boats. A small section with some boats where you can push it around. Now this was exciting, water. I must have gotten too excited, but because before I realized it, I was separated from my parents and couldn't find them. So now I'm panicking. What do kids do when they lose their parents? So I go through my thought process. So badly, I want to scream out and cry and call for help because I know that someone will help me. But I can't do that because that'll cause too much of a scene and I'll embarrass myself and then I'll just cause more problems. 6-year-old me. So then I'll go ask a worker for help. Surely that's their job. They have to do this all the time, every day. But this being the first time I'm alone by myself without supervision, I'm thinking, stranger danger. Something every kid has been told by their parents in some way, one or another. Something I can't ask someone for help. It's a stranger. It's dangerous. So I think about it. I think really hard. I stay focused. I can't scream, I can't ask for help, so what else is there to do? Surely I can do it by myself, and I'll just wander around until I find my parents. Something I actually think was pretty clever is I'll just retrace my steps. Surely they're looking for me too. So I go back to the shopping center, watch people do their shopping. I go to the boats, I go to the boat section, they're not there. I retrace all my steps until finally my dad taps me on the shoulder and I realize that he's found me. I can tell that he's definitely panicked, even way back when I was a kid, but he was definitely more happy that I was just found. So it all worked out pretty well. Like I said, this was my first real vivid memory. I remember it very clearly, and I think it's affected me a lot. I took it to heart. I took this lesson to heart, but perhaps I took the wrong lesson to heart. I could have learned to stay close to my parents or ask for help when you need it. But what I learned is that if you don't ask for help and just stay quiet and walk around, eventually the problem will be solved. I believe this is what caused my introversion most of my life. I'm not bad at talking. Once I talk to someone, the conversation gets going, it's fine. But starting the conversation is the most dreadful part of that. Once I know you and I know who you are and I know your type, we can talk forever. But just the first, hello, what's your name? How are you? Is impossible to me. I've gotten better at it over the years, really have. I've made more friends in the past 5 years than I ever have in my whole life. And I'd consider that really big growth. Being an introvert also taught me that it's not always a bad thing. Being an introvert makes you more particular in who you hang out with. This may not seem like a good thing, but it really allows you to pick very specific, really good friends. It also taught me really a lot to break through my fears, because now I'm giving this speech in front of this whole class, in front of everyone. And 6-year-old me lost in a museum definitely could not do that.
No, I mean, I wouldn't have known if it was a right.
When I was 14, I was a little stupid. Actually, a lot stupid. I still am, but back then I had the confidence of a 14-year-old who still had faith in the world and knew that whatever happened, I would get up from anything. There was one day where my brother and I needed some new bikes. Our old ones were old and had no way of working anymore, and we had some extra cash to spend, so we decided, hey, let's go do something nice for a change. So we drove half an hour away to North Aurora, completely out of the way because our mom had heard some good things about this place. And there were some good things about this place. There was a dog just running around. She was nice. And to us, who had no idea what the right thing to say was, it sounded like they were saying the right things. So we picked out our bikes, and while we were waiting for our parents to take care of everything, we just decided, hey, let's go ride around on them for a little bit. So next door was this building. It was at the top of a hill. At the bottom of the hill was this parking lot. And to get down to this parking lot, you had to go down one of two roads, either side. So we would go down one side of the hill, fast as we could, went going through our hair, and then just avoid all the cars in the parking lot at the bottom. By the end, we'd have to walk it back up because we ran out of speed. And just go back and around for God knows how long. Until eventually my brother got a little bit bored, which can't blame him. I mean, eventually you get bored of everything. And he went inside just to hang out with her family. I stayed. A little bit stupid to do that in the first place, but what can you do? It was about like 6 years ago. So I did that for a while until something different happened. I decided to crank it up a little bit, go a little bit faster. Except that this time there was a car in the way. Nobody had been there the entire time that we'd been going until I turned that one corner and there was a car heading straight towards me. I looked left, I looked straight ahead, I looked right, nowhere to go except straight towards the trees that were right next to me. So I did. I went straight towards those trees and crashed. I mean, there was nothing I could do. I passed out for a little bit. I don't know how much time passed, but my memory of all of this is still a little bit fuzzy all these years later. So when I woke up, I couldn't move. My legs were busted. The bike was on top of me. The pedals were digging into my skin. The metal was burning my legs, and there was nothing I could really do. So I just waited. I knew that eventually I'd have to get up. I knew that I had to get up to go because there was nothing I could do for myself down there. So when I knew that my legs would be able to work, I hauled that bike up off of me and just started moving. One leg, one foot, then the other, just going. Go, get up, move. That's all that I knew at that point. So I hauled my bike through that parking lot and I just looked up at that hill thinking, how am I going to do this? I did somehow, miraculously. I don't know how I did this. The sun was beating me down. My neck was getting burnt. Gravity was making this hell, but I did it. Eventually, I got there. And for the next couple months, there was this Band-Aid the size of my freaking fist right now on my knee. And what I learned from that was resiliency. It was breaking my limits. It was going further than I ever thought I could. It was that I was stronger than I thought I could be. And that's it.
Just give me just 20 seconds.
Mhm.
Wes, we're ready.
All right. When I was 16 years old, sophomore year of high school, in the middle of COVID, my parents decided it was a great time for the first and only time in my life to pick up and move. So packing everything into boxes and everything you've ever known and deciding to just move out of the blue is a big change. And it kind of threw me into a conflicted state of mind. So my mom is very specific in the way she likes things, and she wanted to sell the house, obviously. So we did quite a few showings, and for every showing, she would have us clean everything. So the cleaning was quite overwhelming. It felt like every day we would just clean the entire house and have to go for 2 hours to have some random people come and look around. Everything was extremely overwhelming, and whenever we'd get home, I would often go out to the back and to a pond, which was kind of away from everything, to just sit and think. So this pond would just recently been built, so I would just kind of go out there, sit by myself, and think. So after that, my parents would eventually come get me and say, "Hey, look, you've been out here too long. It's time to come inside." So all of this moving was extremely exhausting physically and mentally. I would end up just being tired all the time, kind of irritable. I think my parents saw that, and they would kind of do their best to help, but nothing was really helping too much. So after living in the same house for so long, I had become complacent and used to it, and I really hadn't had any big change like this in my life. The hardest thing was probably scraping my knee before this, frankly. So again, I would often go to this pond and sit by myself. And this occurred for probably a couple months because my parents were having a hard time selling our house. Eventually, one day, my mom came up to me and said, "Hey, look, we finally sold the house." And I just kind of spiraled from there. My thoughts were, wow, finally this is over, but also, oh my gosh, this is a huge change. I don't really know what I'm going to do. So after that, I was just not really in a very good mental state. And I kind of got thrown into this new house and a new room and a whole new change, with COVID and everything too. So everything felt very, very foreign. And I just, I had a really hard time reacclimating to the new place we were living. We didn't really move school district or very far. It was really only a 10-minute drive change, but just the entire world around me just seemed totally different, and I didn't really know what to do. So from then on, in my new room, I still had my same bed. I still had my same sheets, same everything. And I wasn't able to sleep. I was irritable. It was the summer, so I didn't really have schoolwork, but I would often sit alone because at this point I was too far away and I didn't really have a place that I could go sit by myself and think. So I would then take a walk around the property because I've always liked outdoors, and that's kind of what I've come to do, to be by myself. So eventually I would walk around and I'd find that back in the forest behind the house, the new house, it was a far walk, and that's another place where I felt alone and by myself, a place that I felt comfortable thinking. But after doing that for a week or so, I came to realize that, wow, maybe this new house is not such a bad thing. And all of this change, my parents really had a reason for doing this, and it wasn't just to hurt me. So I found a new comfort in my new house, and I found a true new beauty in the new place I was living. So after that, I kind of cleared my head, and the school year was starting up again. So I felt a lot more confident. And I realized that with all of this change and all of this adversity I was facing, that truthfully, it helped me become a stronger person. And that truly all of this change, that even though sometimes I thought that my parents may have been wrong or may have not had my best interests at heart, they knew that what they were doing was the right thing. And I know that today I'm a stronger man because of it. Thank you.
Yeah, you can. Whenever you.
Okay, so for pretty much all of my life, I've just loved sports. Sports have been my thing. It's the number one thing that I've always loved to do, at all times. I played sports since, I was about the age of 5. My parents always had me enrolled in sports. I played basketball, I played baseball, soccer, football, everything that you can imagine. But my favorite out of all of those sports was definitely basketball. Basketball is the sport that I just love to play. I had the most fun doing. You don't need a lot of stuff to play basketball, just the balls and shoes, go outside your house, can find a hoop pretty much anywhere nowadays. But yeah, everybody kind of has their one thing that they use as like an escape from reality. When you don't want to think about something, you have something on your mind, and that's what basketball was for me. But going into my freshman year of high school, I had decided that I no longer wanted to play basketball anymore. I decided that for many reasons, most of which being that I didn't think that I was going to get playing time or that I was going to, be able to compete with the guys that were playing at that level. And, you're probably looking at me and you're like, yeah, you're right. You're like 5'2". Why the heck do you think you're going to play in basketball? Yeah, get that. But I didn't think that I was going to be able to do that. So I was going around, I had my friends were like, hey, are you going to play this year? Are you going to play this year? And I was like, no, I'm not going to. They'd be like, why? And I was like, I just don't think that I can hang with these guys. But eventually, after months of me, saying I'm not going to play, I'm not going to do this, my best friend actually convinced me to go on and play. Now, I went to a really small private school, so my school doesn't have tryouts for the team. So if you want to go and play, you just go sign up and everybody makes the team. Doesn't mean that you're going to actually get playing time, but everybody makes the team. Everybody gets a jersey. So I signed up for the team. We start playing. And at the start of the year, that's exactly what I thought it was going to be. It's me, I'm sitting there on the bench. I'm not getting any playing time, I'm just there, But eventually I kept my head down. I kept working. And eventually before Christmas break, before our first tournament, I ended up getting a starting spot on the team. So we then had our first tournament down in Arthur, Illinois. I don't know if any of you know where that is, but it's like 3 or 4 hours away. So playing in that tournament, it's a double elimination tournament, which means if you lose 2 games, then you're out of the tournament. So, the whole team, we had to wake up super early, had to wake up at like 6:30, get on the bus, go drive the 4 hours down there, and then get ready to play our game at 1. So we get down there, we had a good ride, everyone's laughing and joking. We're playing a team that we hadn't played before. We're thinking that this is gonna be an easy game, we're gonna kill these kids. But we get up there, we start playing the game, and these kids like absolutely destroyed us. Like they killed us by like 40 at the end of the game. Like we didn't even have a chance. So needless to say, that was a really silent bus ride back to the hotel. But Yeah, so we go back to the hotel, we get ready for the next, 2 games that we have the next day. Because we need to win both of them in order to still have a chance to make it to the championship. So we play those 2 games and we do end up, we end up playing this one team. It was a really close game. We ended up winning that game and, beating that team. And then we played the other game. That game wasn't close. Those kids were terrible. We absolutely wiped them. So, we played both those games. We head back to the hotel and get ready to play. Well, we had already found out that we are going to play in the championship game the next day. So we get up the next day and we go to watch the kids we go to watch the game that's going to happen to see the other team that we're going to be playing in the finals. And so we're watching the game. Both teams are pretty good, but this one team has this one kid that's just like really good. I think he ended up winning like the MVP of the tournament. So he's playing for that team and that team ends up winning. So we have our game plan. We end up going into the game. What we want to do. We're gonna, try and make this kid uncomfortable. So we start playing the game. We're in there, we're fighting, we're hanging with this team, but these guys are really good. And at halftime, we're down by like 10, 15 points. So we go into halftime and our coach gave what I thought at the time was a really good halftime speech, but now me thinking about it, it was more like him yelling at us because we were playing worse than we expected to do. But we ended up coming out in the second half and we all played really well. And we ended up coming away and stealing the game by like 3 points at the end of the game. And so I tell this story to say that if my friend hadn't convinced me to do something that I enjoyed to do and push through and get over myself, then I never would have had this experience with my teammates.
Give me about 20 seconds and start. All right, you ready? Whenever you're ready.
I lived in Texas almost my entire life, one of the hottest places in the entire world. I was super comfortable there. I had my first friends there, went to my first schools, and played on my first sports teams, especially football. I played football my entire life. And for those of you that don't know, football is huge in Texas. It's like the coaches wouldn't want you to play any other sport. They just want you to focus on football. I never wanted to leave Texas in my entire life. I thought I could stay there for the rest of my life, go to college there and live there for the rest of my life because I loved every thing about Texas. That was until one day I came home racing from the bus stop and my dad told me some of the worst news of my entire life. He sat me and my brother down on the couch and told us that we had to move across the country to Illinois for his new engineering job. I was in shock. I didn't believe it. I didn't think I was actually going to have to leave everything I knew and have to start all over. For the rest of the summer, I try to just forget about it and enjoy all the moments with my friends and enjoy my last football season. July came around and it was time to move. We had to get the house sold and we really didn't have much time. So we didn't get the house sold until we actually moved to here. And in the car ride, I had moments of hope. Maybe the move wouldn't be so bad. And maybe I could like start over and I'd be fine. but those didn't last long and sadness came rushing back. That wasn't until I actually made it to Illinois and I saw my brand new house. I loved my new house. It was huge. I loved my neighborhood. And I explored every inch of my house. But that only lasted a couple of days and I got bored. I really didn't know what I was going to do. A couple of depressing days went by and I went outside and I met some of my neighbors, especially my next door neighbor, Liam. Liam was able to show me around the area, show me the cool places in town, and show me the best places to eat. Liam was also going to high school, and so was I. So he was able to show me around the high school, and he also played basketball. I played basketball too, but football was always my main sport. I ended up giving up on football because I really didn't know what I was doing, and it was like right when I moved there, the season started, so I didn't want to try out. I did end up playing basketball though, and I ended up loving it more than I ever loved football. 2 years later, Liam did end up moving away, unfortunately, but I stayed in contact with him and I still get to see him once in a while when he comes to visit because his grandparents are actually my next door neighbor as well. I did stay in contact with some of my friends from Texas, but I did lose some of them, unfortunately. Overall, I'm really glad I was able to push myself to move and step outside my comfort zone for one of the very first times in my life because I had everything in Texas. I was never uncomfortable. And I think the move really shaped me to who I am today. As for the weather, I will never ever say I want to see snow ever again. I got so tired of the snow as soon as I moved here. That's it.
Alright. Whenever you're ready.
I think I can say collectively, for everybody that middle school wasn't the best years of our lives. At least for me, I felt stuck in the awkward phase between teenager and, kid. I felt like I was riding a seesaw that tipped and like fell each way. I couldn't ever keep my gravity, and it always was an issue for me. Not only did I rock a terrible haircut and was regrettably unaware of just how uncool all of my habits and hobbies were, but going into 6th grade, being a bookworm and slightly introverted wasn't exactly as aesthetic or mysterious as it is now. Fortunately, at the time, my best friend, Callie, was what you would have called popular. She was short, blonde, athletic, super sociable, and just overall bubbly. Everyone seemed to like her, and in comparison, I was lanky, tall, awkward, and pretty insecure overall. I followed her around like a puppy, and I kind of relied on her for everything. I relied on her for a seat at the lunch table, for invites to birthday parties and different social settings that we all went to. And I pretended to adore chokers and crop tops and listen to Taylor Swift and enjoy everything everybody else seemed to enjoy at the time. I would nod in agreement with all the other girls when they would talk about other girls' weights and what they looked like. I would point out insecurities in other girls that I saw in myself. I was a follower, and I took every step that I made in someone else's shadow, and all of my decisions weren't my own. Throughout it all, I acted like I didn't notice the subtle jabs they made at my expense, the times they'd made me pay the bill, or the times that I would be the foot of the joke, or anything along those lines. I was excluded from sleepovers and whispered about behind my back, and I chose to ignore it, and I just ended up dreading coming to school and felt like I was tiptoeing through a minefield, constantly having to watch what I was saying or be careful about what I was doing around those other girls. I told myself it was okay though, that, as long as I had Callie, we would always have each other's back. I had known her since birth, and I always felt like we had a really good connection. But by the time 7th grade rolled around and I really had shed any remnants of my old personality, I was someone completely different, and I convinced myself that I was happy, content, and the first day arrived, and I remember the sinking feeling of getting on the bus and not having anybody to sit with. I told myself that it would be okay though. I made up in my mind the judgmental stares and the laughs that were aimed at the back of my head. I told myself to relax, that it was a fresh start, and as soon as I got there, I would text Callie, it would be okay, and we would figure out our way through the hallways, like we always did every year. We would get through it together, and I relied on her to get me through all those nervous emotions that I had that first day. I came out the bus and I stepped foot over the motivational words on the chalk, and through the doors, through the sea of friends exchanging schedules, the frantic 6th graders trying to find their way around the school, and the teachers mouthing good mornings to the students and waving hi. I was excited to see Callie. I hadn't seen her all throughout break really, and she had assured me that whole time that she was just super busy with cheerleading and sports and all these other activities she was doing and extracurriculars. I didn't blame her though. I had spent most of my summer days tagging along with my brother and his friends and kind of just making way with what I had. I sent her a quick message real quick, and I said, I asked her if she was there yet. Minutes passed and turned into final bells, as all I got was radio silence from her. And at the end of the day, after the syllabuses were all read, a small panic started to grow in me as I was embarrassed to walk around all by myself through the brightly painted corridors. Each step I took felt heavier, as if I was walking through with an anchor behind me, and all the laughter seemed to echo around me. It had been almost like I was, cast adrift, and nobody seemed to bring me any familiar presence or comfort like she had. I got home that day and I rang the doorbell next door, and her mom opened the door, and I asked her where she had been. I was hoping for her to say sickness or some sort of health issue. She told me that she had moved schools and she had abandoned me. I didn't say anything about it. She didn't tell me. She didn't give me any word of notice. She didn't say goodbye. I never got another word from her again until years after. Some sort of excuses or some sort of anything along those lines really didn't seem to do anything for me. I chose to believe that this changed me into a person I am today, who can stand on their own feet and who doesn't need to seek approval from everybody else. I can face the world unapologetically, and I don't have to rely on somebody else for my happiness. Pretty sure she's in juvie now. Not quite sure what she's doing, but I just hoped that it created me into a person that can find her own hobbies and her own interests and not have to rely on other people.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, no. Thank you. Okay, you guys can work on submitting your audience evaluation to me. And once you are done, you don't need to stay back, you can leave. I have the next 15 minutes. I will be talking to all the 7 speakers. I'll talk to you privately. In the meantime, if it goes beyond 1:45 and you need to go somewhere, you have a hard stop, please go. I can talk to you, catch up later. But I will be talking to you all of you, the speakers, till 1:45. Okay. All right. I'm going to go according to the order. Ivan first.
I mentioned my. I was kind of going for that. Yeah. Also, just not cleaning that part too. So now that it wasn't like big at all. just a slight note tonight. It's a slight note.
Thanks. Yeah, seriously, yours is really.
Good job, Billy.
I should have went through and found
I was gonna think for my body. I was like.
It was depressingly relatable, I guess.
I have like a whole like. I have a whole section like.
You have so much more time to prepare
I
though.
was like, cause I was trying to rush the meeting.
Right. Was that your alarm?
Yeah, cause I would time myself.
Right.
I was like, I was kept staring at it.
It went up like a couple seconds before we were so was
Yeah, I was
what's
like-
going on?
I think I started having. I was sitting there and I was like.
You gotta do the stopwatch, so it counts up.
Yeah.
Oh,
Next is,
Try
So,
saying it so
Dil-
they never respond. This next week.
Dylan. Oh, no, sorry, not Dylan. Sorry.
Wait, who went first?
You almost got out of here.
I got Ivan first.
That was crazy. He was still writing his note card.
That was wicked. He figured that one out.
She didn't have anything
No. Now you don't have to worry about it.
Well, that's true. I wanted to get out of the way. I was gonna go the first day. And I was like,
That's kind of nice. You just go to class and just watch.
Right.
Yeah.
I really wish I was prepared.
I memorized like the first half. The other half was like,
Oh my, I didn't memorize a single thing. I wrote that thing, wrote some note cards.
Really? I had to improvise on a couple lines.
I improvised like the entire. Like I wrote it, so I knew what I was gonna talk about.
compared my like whatever down to what I said. Yeah.
Honestly, you guys really feel like this. It's really nothing to. Once you're out there, it's kind of like.
Right, it's easy when it's a storytelling because you actually experienced it. So it's like you're just telling a story.
You so fast.
If you're lying or not. Lying or not.
Some people had experiences with more genre and stuff like that. I was like,
Yeah, but
That was on my boss.
You remember that play, don't you? Everyone remembers 30 Reasons Not to Play.
It was so horrible. No offense, but it was over Zoom. It was like the worst thing
When we got done, the director told all of us, she goes, well, it's over. You guys have a good winter.
Mrs. Giles?
No, it was Danielle. I don't know who it was. She is some youngie director. I don't know what. I thought we were pretty good.
Well, good for a Zoom. It's a Zoom.
I didn't fire already.
Choir over.
I did too.
You played it at that time. I shouldn't have played.
Or did you play
Where'd you guys? Where'd you guys go last year? Finland?
Latvia, Estonia.
Dude, I was in Europe at the same time, and I was with my.
I know.
was just with
I
school.
saw.
We could have crossed paths. I
You
think
guys
we went
went to
south.
you
We were in
guys-
Paris.
Yeah, you guys went to like
Amsterdam, Belgium, Brussels.
yeah, so like fancy places.
No, not really. I mean, we stayed in some garbage.
We stayed in
We stayed in this London flat. It wasn't in London though. It was in just a random, it was in a bad area.
So you almost got stabbed in your last
No, seriously. We were walking around in the middle of the night. I looked. We probably shouldn't have done this. Kind of stupid. We looked. There's just taxi drivers all standing around. You're talking about pies. I was wearing careful. And these kids came up like, hey bro, do you want to go to the station with us? I'm telling you, so it's funny. I like the Brits like that.
Trevor, we have guys.
The people in England are cool though. It was Amsterdam, not so much.
The girls were allowed to go, is that like-
In Amsterdam?
Make your paint still face.
I don't know. It was just
Maybe look at my plug.
maybe I think you're thinking of more. I don't know. I think Eastern Europe. I think that's what they did because it was kind of normal though.
Some
But
people go too much. They
yeah.
be deceiving us, man. I'm telling you. Makeup, yeah. Deceiving us. I'm telling you, if I pick up a girl, I'll leave water in the front door. You come and wash your face. Let me see your real face. You're not getting it.
Why would you just make it run everywhere?
You're not getting it, bro. You're not getting it looking like shit.
Say she has something on her face, it's not everybody, his wife just across the stairs, but I just want to say that's better. Okay.
It's bad. It's just, we need to do better. I don't know.
Bro, I crucified Trevor. I crucified Trevor.
No, she is.
On that thing.
Did you exit?
Bro.
Like the only thing I accept is like just the space, and then I was. Unless they're like serious, when they call us for a long time, it's like,
No, I was doing that a few times too. I had to drown this. You speaking words. You're like, I'm
Jeremiah?
trying to remember lines. You're like, and that's when I realized. Just filler time.
He gave up.
I feel bad. I've been there before.
He was like, oh, fuck this. I'm just-
Texas, huh? Yeah. Dude, that sounds so much better there. What? It sounds so much better there. I've been like, oh, I liked his. That was, I don't know. Leo. And Leo, cool guy. Wait, is it actually a wild story?
Yeah, like this. Why?
It's a movie, bro.
Movie, not a movie.
It's like it's really.
I don't watch.
Dude, I would never do anything like that. It's like so like even yours, like I would never do something like that at school. I tend to do something. Cali. No, I had to do something completely.
Like, shorten it, bro. It's not because it's long, bro. The context.
Oh, it just it's really personal. Yeah, that's tall. I personally.
I never read about some dark sometimes, like, I'm not gonna say that kind of a class.
Well, not even dark side. I don't want to give any info about my family or anything. I want to talk about something just so lighthearted.
I was gonna do a funny story, and I was like, it's so easy, they like,
It's easy to be what?
Just like, that.
Yeah, I guess that's that. Yeah.
I didn't remember that stuff. So
You gotta make it kind of dramatic for the teacher too. You guys like.
oh my god. What was the one story? The guy who was
Okay,
sorry about
then after Jeremiah,
the guy who was talking about like his body or whatever, and they write it down or something. along those
Yeah.
lines or whatever. She was staring. It was the most discerning thing I've ever seen anybody. She was like the entire time. I'm like, yeah, I was like, I don't know. She was so scared for him.
No, and I believe it's.
What's yours about?
Oh, mine was, about my vet.
I don't know about you, bro. But I feel like I'll find out.
Yeah, about my vet. So
So you will.
my grandma,
Yeah.
my mom had me at a very young age.
Yeah.
My grandma didn't want to undergo all that embarrassment and all that stuff.
How young is the age? Was she like a teenager? Or your mom?
My mom she was 22.
I mean, yeah, that's still that's not that young. I mean, like back in the day, most people would have kids at like 19, 20. So.
Yeah, but later she got sick, and then I wanted to play a part in her recovery, not for
Oh,
the
absolutely.
well-being.
Yeah.
I just wanted to prove a point.
Yeah.
So I did it. I proved my point. I turned out to be the villain in the story.
Really?
Good kind of villain.
That's kind of an interesting way to put it. I wouldn't have thought of that.
Because it's like, okay, what you're doing right now is dark. I broke her so much. I fucking love it. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I love her so much. I don't know if it led to her death, but she lived a longer, happy life. No one had never forgiven. Yeah, she fucking went through that.
Really?
Imagine you wake up at the brink of death in the hospital,
Yeah.
and then you're told your benefactor is the grandson that you almost neglected for years ago.
Yeah.
Who comes to your mind. And then she would want to apologize, but I didn't give her that chance.
Yeah.
Think about it, the huge damage that would make.
Yeah.
That's pretty personal.
Dude, that is pretty personal. I went for a play every
Grandma
there.
is a
Yeah.
nightmare. Like,
and
either two on dreamt of.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Dylan.
Dylan.
Yeah, bro, it's dark.
No, dude. I mean, life happens. You know what I'm saying? Like we're all different people back in the day. You know. Dude, I saw.
I'll do whatever it takes just to make something like a page.
I mean, not,
Still?
I mean, not still, I mean, looking back at it, she's dead, and I don't know if it's also killed her.
Really?
I'm not really remorseful.
I saw a book in your bag. Are you Christian?
The most,
Yeah.
my dad owns 7 churches,
Does he really?
Yeah.
What kind of churches?
Pentecostal,
Pentecostal? That's big churches.
across states.
Really? So are you Christian as well?
Yeah,
You are?
there's more.
Yeah.
Hopefully for the church, people are,
Oh, do you? You plus you're into instruments and all that.
yeah, I play keyboard, guitar a little bit.
No.
Yeah, keyboard, keyboard.
That was an interesting book though. One you're reading.
What's wrong with it?
No, I just looked interesting. Like I saw that.
What about?
I think it was about being born again.
Oh. That's.
Yeah, but if it's personal, you don't have to show me.
Well, no.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great book.
Oh, yeah, that. Yeah. 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 No problem. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, just like,
I hope it doesn't change what we see.
no, dude, bro, not at all. All like that. Have a good day, Dr. Seth.
Have a